Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a second video today because something just dawned on me when I was thinking about the new information that was released. Crime Stoppers posted it yesterday that the Texas Rangers said that they had new information on the young girl that was remains were found in 2013, that she was a black girl. Okay, and so I just thought that was interesting. I got to thinking, I wondered if they've not investigated the murder of that young girl at the oil show party because they knew she was black, I think that's a very good question. I think it's a legitimate question, and so here we're going to go look at some of the evidence, and so it's going to be real clear that they have intentionally not investigated, okay, on purpose, and so then you're wondering, why have they not investigated this murder, and maybe it is because of racism. And so here, let's go just jump right down here on today's Facebook post. And here it is, update. The Texas Rangers have been working on this cold case, and through DNA analysis, the remains have been identified as a black female rather than a white or Hispanic female as originally thought. Okay, so that's the new information. And then what I can't tell you how many times I've posted about this, made videos about this, talked about this. It said on August 1st, 2013, the unidentified human remains were discovered near an oilfield in Midland, 10 miles south of I-20. Remains to be now a black female, 14 to 21 years old at the time of death. Okay, a young girl, 59 to 67 inches tall, and so, all these years later, they finally tell us it's the black girl. And so here was the screenshot from the Midland Crime Stoppers. I made a video about that yesterday, okay? Now, keep in mind, I have a video called 2010 Oil Show Party Murder, and that's where my friend Angie told me about a young girl murdered at an oil show party during the week, October 2010. I don't know how many times. I believe it happened in these underground homes. That's where the parties were at, so that's where the murder happened at. And, I sent a Crime Stoppers tip yesterday. I sent a Texas Ranger tip yesterday. I've done it in the past. I contacted the DPS, the sheriff, DHS, FBI, the press. I can't tell you how many people I've contacted because I have all this information. I have all this evidence, and nobody will do anything, right? And you have a murdered young girl, okay? But now it's like, oh, it's a black girl. Well, maybe that explains why they're not doing anything. I've contacted multiple law enforcement agencies and press groups advising them that my friend told me about a young girl that was murdered at a 2010 oil show party, which I believe happened in underground homes said to be here by multiple people, but no investigation has gone on that I know of. I wonder if the reason is because they knew she was a black girl. That might explain why they haven't exposed the crime centers. All they needed to do was ask these people. They could ask Rhonda Denman Rogers, who I documented saying that underground facility is a half block away. I have a print screen on that. They could talk to Rhonda. They could ask her, where is it, when, how, why? Do you know about the young murdered girl? They could ask the woman that I recorded on the phone who told me that there were 4 3-bedroom, $1 million underground homes here that were buried at least 25 foot deep. She said they were having pedophile parties down there, so they could ask her that too. I provided law enforcement her name. That's a video called $1 Million Underground Facilities. That phone call is, okay? Once again, they could get her, sit her down and ask her who, where, when, how, and solve the murder of this little girl, but maybe they didn't because she was a black girl. They could ask previous resident of my home, Ricky Ronaldo, who told me that him and his brother used to go in the tunnels under my home when they lived here. It's believed the young girl come through a tunnel, okay? And maybe DNA evidence is there. They could ask CAD programmer Layla O'Brien, who told me that she worked on the underground safe valves project that was completed in 1987 at a cost of $7.35 million. She said the Bushes were connected with installing them. She gave me the name of the company she worked for on a recorded phone call. It was extremely clear what she was saying was true, and it's backed up by all these other people. That's where it's believed that black girl, was murdered. They could ask recent sheriff candidate Joe Lozano, who I recorded telling me that these underground homes was the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. Remember, Angie was afraid to report that murder and said high-level police were there. I suspected Gary Painter was one of them, And, I even made a comment. What are we waiting on? Were we waiting on another 10 sheriff candidates to say there's underground homes here before we expose them and solve the murder of this little girl? What's the holdup here, right? How many people do you need? They could ask MPD officers Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, who were time-stamped as being at or inside my home on the night that I was ambushed and shot when they were not seen arriving on the security cameras, which saw Woodward and Naylor minutes earlier. This told me they came into my home from the now-removed underground entrance from where I had been ambushed and shot. It's believed a party was going on in the underground home where the young girl was murdered at. And obviously, them officers know something. And maybe they knew it was a black girl, and so that's why they're covering it up. Maybe we could sit them down and ask them how they got in my house without being seen on camera. They could ask my ex-wife, who told me there was a hidden trapdoor in my home before I was ambushed and shot by somebody under my home from the trapdoor. They could ask Angie Mungia Herrley, who told me that a young girl was murdered at the party, right? It's my word against her word, but you sit her down and ask her, because there's a whole bunch of other people saying underground homes are here. And then Angie must know, I tell you what, they could check our phone records. We were talking on the phone. She left my home. She was at the party in 5 minutes. My phone number, 432-209-6494. Check the phone records and look at it every day. She leave my home, drive to the party. We talk on the phone in the evenings too. They could ask Google Maps why they're showing a large bunker in my backyard on the map screen, which can't be seen from above ground on the satellite screen. That's believed to be one of the 4 underground homes that was put in for the Bushes, okay? Where the also parties are where the young girl was murdered. They could ask Homeland Security Agent Paul. I showed him where I believed the tunnel was located and that was going to the underground home, and 2 weeks later the ground was dug up and concrete was poured. I suspected that was trying to cover up the capital murder of that black girl. They could ask Lance Eggleston, who told me, we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You will be silenced, not if, but when. Obviously, Lance knows about the access to my residence that nobody will believe, right? I got a feeling he knows about the underground oil show parties. And Shannon Jeter told me, buddy, cops can kill you and get away with it. Stop publicizing their business and you go buy you another home. In fact, there are many people who have asked or ordered me to sell my home who must know something. Because why do they want me out of this home? Because there's an underground home in the backyard where they murdered a black girl at. Since it's believed these underground homes were hosting the famous and wild oil show parties, then it makes sense a lot of people know about them. There would be many witnesses to talk to before anybody has to pick up a shovel and dig, okay? Here, I found this map on Google Earth, historical maps. This is about 6 months before I'm ambushed and shot right here in my home, okay? You can tell behind Home Depot, coming from Home Depot to my house where a ditch was cut. I believe that's where the tunnel. That's what I showed Homeland, right? Remember I told you I showed Homeland, and then they're pouring concrete 2 weeks later. And Angie was leaving my house and she's driving to the party, and I believe she parked in front of Home Depot, went underground, and come in that tunnel. I believe that murdered black girl come in through that tunnel, and there's probably DNA evidence in there maybe, and but there might be concrete, and we need to ask DHS agent Paul about that, right? And here, Ricky Ronaldo, he was print screen. When I was a kid, there were tunnels in the house. Me and my brother would always go down there. We could ask Ricky. They could ask Google Maps why they're showing a large building in my backyard on the block screen isn't seen from the satellite screen. Okay, these are print screens. You can do it yourself. Go to maps.google.com on your phone or your computer. Put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle. Look at the map screen. Look at the satellite screen. Map screen shows a large bunker in my backyard. Okay, this is where I'm ambushed and shot. Previous homeowner dies the week before the 2008 oil show starts. Okay. Right here, okay, and right here is the satellite screen. There's no bunker there. See, that's because it's underground. Okay, that's where I believe that black girl was murdered at, right there. Why aren't they investigating? Is it because she was black? They could ask Joe Lozano where the underground oil show parties was at, since he is recorded as saying that the late Sheriff Gary Painter used to hide out there. This is a phone call recorded. We got a guy that was running for Midland Sheriff that I secretly recorded confirming these underground homes were here. You can listen to it yourself. He said our last sheriff used to hide out down there. Okay, Rhonda Denman Rogers. I say my home is sitting on some type of underground facility, which is very important, or at least or at least near this facility. Rhonda says, I know it's a half block away. She didn't say it's 3/4 of a block. She didn't say it's 2 1/4 block. She knows exactly how far it is. It's a half block away. And a half block away from my home is an empty lot and has a water well and a home that has a mortar problem, just like my home had a mortar problem. It's believed the mortar problem came from digging under the home, broke the mortar joints. My neighbor has a water well right next to my backyard where it's believed the underground home is. I believe maybe one of the 4 underground homes is in that lot right there. We could ask Rhonda Denman Rogers where it's at in investigation of the murder of a black girl. Okay. Here's one comment I got. I really don't think it matters what color you are. If law enforcement involved, it's a cover-up, period. Okay. And I replied, I said, some people believe there's no longer racism in America, but many others do. Something has to explain why they're covering up capital murders when there is so much evidence. I think we can all agree to that, right? There's a ton of evidence. Remember a minute ago, I said Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hell. They were inside or inside my home, and they were not seen arriving on the security cameras that saw 2 other law enforcement officers, Woodward and Naylor, 4 minutes earlier. And all my other doors were secured with extra locks. That's how I know they came in from the now removed trap door that I was shot from. The ex-wife had already told me about. And so they were under my home, and it was somebody under my home that shot me by surprise. It looks like it might have been cops that tried to murder me in my home. This is a list here, and all it is timestamp. My camera's timestamp. Woodward and Naylor showing up at this minute right here. I crawled at 10:42. They're here at 11:01 without being dispatched. I believe they were in the underground home where the black girl was murdered at, right? Let's talk to Woodward and Naylor, too. We can't talk to Naylor. He's dead. Maybe Naylor was going to snitch on him. A lot of people wondered that, But here was from the police report that they illegally withheld from me for 7 years. I didn't get it till 2019, and now we know why, because it time stamped them in my home right here. Dickey was inside my home 4 minutes after Woodward Naylor wasn't seen arriving. Okay, that's how we know they were under my home. And where under my home? Probably in the same underground home where the black girl was murdered at. Here's the woman right here. They asked the woman that told me about the 4 3-bedroom underground homes right here. I don't know how many times I've played that. She said there are pedophile parties going down there, and they say it's a 14 to 21-year-old girl. Well, if it's a 14-year-old girl, then that would fit the pedophile story. Y'all see that? And maybe it's a 14-year-old black girl. Okay. They could ask DHS Agent Paul if he knows where the underground oil show parties are, okay? And I want to show you here, I was back here behind Home Depot, and I showed them, remember that map? Or I showed you the tunnel was cut going to my house? I showed DHS that. We went back there together on July 2nd, 2019, on July 17th, 2019. They're back there pouring concrete. Oh, no, here, I'll show you right there. You see, I showed Homeland right here. It's coming right to my house, okay? And, I'm back here with Homeland Security. What if Homeland Security was involved in getting this concrete poured to cover up the murder of a black girl, right? And I'm going to finish this one out right here. I'd noticed on the police report where I was listed as an American Indian Alaskan, which I thought was strange since I've always considered myself a Caucasian. And in fact, my mom traced our heritage back to the Mayflower. I do have 3/32nd Indian blood in me from my dad's side, but that means I'm 29/32nd Caucasian. I wondered if this was done on purpose, as in it's okay to break into my home and murder me because I'm not white. Angie told me that high-level police were at the oil show party where the young girl was murdered, so they must have known she was black. So maybe the same racist mentality happened there, as it's okay to murder her because she isn't white. That way it doesn't matter how many sheriff candidates say that underground homes are here. They can just play dumb, look the other way, and allow the crimes to continue. Okay? And I'm going to show you what I was talking about here. Okay? American Indian Alaskan. I thought, what? I just never even seen that in my whole life, somehow they found out, I have this tiny amount of Indian blood in me, and they wanted to make sure everybody know he's not white. It's okay. We can kill him. He's not white, or that's what I got. That's the feeling I got, and so, the question is, is that what's going on? Is it racism why they're not exposing these underground homes, these oil show parties, and these murders connected to them? Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.